In the few short months that we've been around, just the amount of guests that I've been fortunate enough to speak with, been incredibly fortunate to have a lot of really amazing guests on the show. I don't talk about this very much, but behind the scenes, there's a ton of work that goes into these types of things. On the fly, I've really had to learn how to edit audio, how to edit video. I don't have a background in any of that stuff, so I've really just been kind of learning it on the fly. There are a lot of other things I would like to eventually do. I would like to hopefully get in a position where I can get an actual studio built in my basement down here, where I can soundproof it a little bit better, get some better recording equipment, a better camera, etc., etc. If you guys really like what I do, and if you have the financial means, I'd really appreciate it if you could cop one of my tees that I have for sale. The link is in my bio if you'd like to support me to do that. The tees themselves are like $20. They're super comfy. When I worked with MMA Tee Company, we really wanted to put out a product that is super high quality and as affordable as we could possibly make it. And I think we've done that. If you have the financial means, I would really appreciate your support if that's something you're interested in. If not, that's okay too. But you could still be a friend of the channel. You could still be a massive support to me by just simply liking the content that we are cranking out and subbing the YouTube channel. So thank you guys for giving me your time. I really appreciate that, and enjoy the show. What is up, everybody? It's Tyler with Mom's Basement MMA, and my next guest is a guy that I'm really, really high on. He is an AMI mixed martial artist, and he is originally from Lincoln, Nebraska. He recently relocated to Phoenix, Arizona. He's a 145-pound featherweight, and this guy's been competing for less than a year. He's already racked up 4 victories, 0 defeats. He's absolutely perfect in the cage. I seldom get really excited by guys that have just started, but this guy has an amazing amount of potential. I'm really excited to introduce him to you all. Everybody, please welcome Mr. Christian Lovan. So, Christian, how are you doing, man? You look great today.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, so first and foremost, man, I gotta say, there's a lot of drama. Before we get into you specifically, there's been a lot of things going on this weekend. You mentioned before we hit the record button on here that you were at the Bellator fight. I know that was in Phoenix last night.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't we start there? You're at the event. That was a huge event. There are a lot of there's a lot of things that happened at that event, and I wanted to ask you: was there a bout on that card that really sticks out in your mind, or a performance that you went home with, and you're like, "God damn, I'm gonna watch that fight again when I get home"?
Yeah, it was the prelim, the feature fight on the prelims. I don't remember their names. It was the Swedish guy and the Russian guy. That fight was crazy. That was a good one. A lot of back and forth there. That was my favorite one.
I love some of those Bellator cards. They always put on some really good shows, and I'm a fan of Bellator. The problem with me is I really try hard to follow where the fighters are that I've had on this show, and you guys are spread out everywhere. So I had a guy that was on Combate, so I was watching that. There's a guy that fought actually on the UFC card, the Ghost Pepper dude. He's follows this page, so I try to go wherever the fighters are that are a part of this community. So I don't always get to see everything, but I'll definitely check out the Bellator fight. I haven't seen it yet, but I will go back. I'll definitely check that out. But I wanted to get your opinion on something. There was Aspen Ladd fought Norma Dumont in the main event, in the UFC Fight Night main event last night. And I know you didn't watch it because you're busy being a G at the Bellator bout. But I'll recap it for you, and I want to get your opinion as a fighter how this went. So, Aspen Ladd's her first fight in like 2 years. And do you recall in her last fight, like her corner was like really like tearing into her butt, saying like, you're being trash right now. You need to go out. You need to be motivated. Like, you need to...
I think they told her to finish her, right?
Yeah, they're like, you need to finish her, and then she did, and then everyone's just like, oh my gosh, her coaches are amazing. They motivated her and got what they needed to get the win. Last night, basically, here's what happened. Aspen was flat. She was really tentative, really nervous, which I understand. She's been hurt. It's her first fight in 2 years, but she pretty much got jabbed in the face for 5 rounds and didn't really do anything. And her coaches started getting more and more frustrated with her because they were giving her advice. She wasn't heeding their advice, and you could hear their coaches saying, like, you know, what the F are you doing? Like, you're being garbage out there. There's a lot of controversy right now brewing that they're being too hard on her and that her coaches are jerks and stuff like that. And it was like basically verbal abuse to the fighter. So, you as the fighter, do you have a problem with like a coach taking a hard line on his fighter, like especially if they're not like making adjustments or following instructions? Or do you kind of look back and be like, I don't know if that approach would work for me if I had a coach like that? Like, I'm really curious your thoughts on the gist of what happened last night.
So I caught a little bit of that, just some videos on Twitter. The way I think about it is that if their relationship is like coach and athlete, if that's how she wants to be talked to in the cage, I mean, obviously then that just works for her. Just athletes, coaches in general, just catch a lot of flack from not knowing what goes on outside what they see on TV. So like in terms of things like that, I try not to stay too opinionated to just through sports. Like some athletes just need to be barked at in their ear. And some people just need a couple words of encouragement or just some like unbiased instruction. Just, hey, you're lacking here, do better here, like stuff like that. So,
and to your point, I think it's important to note like everyone's personalities are different. Some people are more receptive to certain coaching styles than others. To me, I guess the reason why I bring it up is like everyone's singing this guy's praises when he barks at her, and then she goes out and gets the finish. Right. He barks at her, she doesn't. And now all of a sudden he's a bad guy, it seems. So, obviously me being a guy that just covers a sport, that is no way, shape, or form remotely close to actually being in the cage and like experiencing it for yourself firsthand. But I looked at it and I guess I didn't really have a problem with it. So I actually put a poll out on my page. I put a poll out, and I won't tell you who voted on the poll, but coaches voted on it and fighters at all levels, AMIs, professionals, at all levels. And I want to say like 84% of everyone who voted on it said they didn't have a problem with it. There are a couple that did.
From what I saw, it didn't upset me.
Yeah, interesting. So I always like to have the opportunity to talk about things that I see going on with fellow fighters, just to get a better understanding of like your perspective, because getting perspectives from people like you just helps me cover the sport a little bit better. Sure. I really appreciate you sharing your insight on that. Before we really dig into you, you just made an announcement earlier today, December 4th. I actually want to be quiet and I don't want to say anything else. Do you want to bring everyone up to speed as to what's going on with you on December 4th?
Oh yeah, let's do it. That was my plan to announce the opponent tonight on here, but I'm fighting. His name's Josh Strapia. I think he's 6-6. He fights out of some club in Lincoln. His last fight, he actually fought my teammate for the 135 belt. I think that was last November. So tough guy. Very similar to the last guy I fought. Maybe just probably a little bit better. Other than that, he's definitely a tough guy, but I think just technically not that sound. I think I definitely think I'm gonna win, obviously, but
So about this particular guy, how did this bout come about? Was this a guy Dynasty just offered to you? Was this a guy you wanted? How did that work out?
Um, so I actually had a title fight offered in MCF, which is the other promotion um in Nebraska. I think I had an opponent, but then I thought he had a fight lined up, and then Derek, who mainly I go through for advice, and I mean he was my coach for until I moved here, but he didn't like it, so we didn't take it, and then didn't reschedule. So no, um, but no, in terms of fighting this guy, I'm not. I mean, I didn't necessarily want him. It's not like didn't want him, but no, what happened is he was teammates with the last guy I fought at some point, and him and his team were chirping on Facebook, and then literally like a week and a half later, they messaged me, said, "Hey, you didn't take that MCF fight. Do you want this guy in December?" And at first, I was just like feeling kind of burnt out, so I told him no. But then last night, I was at Bellator, and I'm like, yeah, no, let's take a fight, let's do it. So
That is kind of a G move, and it's hard for me to imagine like you have been able to like assert your dominance fighting against some tough guys in such a short amount of time. Like I think that's just absolutely crazy that you have been able to stay that active in the world that we're living in today, and now not even a year will have lapsed before you're about to take your fifth bout. That's an insane pace. So that like leads me to believe like I obviously you're a young guy, you're really lean, like you're in amazing shape, and you probably walk around at a weight where when you have to cut, it's not that big of a deal in order to do that. But the mileage is the mileage, and having to like stay in shape to make your cuts not so insane, like that all takes a toll. I don't care what age you are. So like how's your body feeling? Like do you feel physically ready, like you've had enough time to rest and recuperate? Because I know you just fought on the first and we're going out a
yeah,
couple months
yeah.
later. That's not a long time.
No, I do feel ready. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I've had talks with it, but like just after fights, even when I win, it's just like I go through this weird like blues, like the week after, like just almost like depression phase. It was just like I don't even know. It's just like a weird sadness almost, and it's like so that's when they had originally offered it for me, and that's when I was like, man, I'm sore, and my leg hurt. I kicked him quite a few times in his knee, so like I was just sore, felt kind of beat up. I'm just like, no, I don't want to fight, but no, I recovered. My mood kind of leveled back out, and like I got back in the gym the Monday after I got back. Want to stay out, like I don't like to take a lot of time off, so
Sure.
yeah, no, physically, mentally, I'm back, I'm ready to go. I think mainly outside of camps, I like to just focus on just like doing Muay Thai, doing jujitsu, wrestling. Like I don't like to focus so much on doing the hard cardio. That's where I really start to find myself getting burnt. So now that I took this, I'll get back in the hard cardio. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'm in fight shape. I would take a short notice one, like in the shape I'm in.
When you say hard cardio, Christian, like what does that entail? Are we talking about like going out and running for 7 miles, or do you have other? I'm sure you use like um, a whole range of like activities to do that. But like, what do you typically end up doing? Do you cycle, run? What do you do?
Oh, I love cycling. Cycling's probably my favorite. I've ridden my bike a few times since I moved down here, but I haven't found a trail that I can just consistently go on. But yeah, cycling's my favorite. I love to go out and bike, but no, since running's my least favorite, that's something I like to make myself do.
Right.
So I'll also go run, but then just a lot of the cardio too will just come from the drilling I do in practice. But like outside of practice, yeah, I like to run and bike and do sprints. Pretty basic things. I don't do anything
Nothing nuts.
crazy out of the ordinary.
So you kind of touched on something that I think we need to talk about. So you are from Nebraska, but you're obviously not in Nebraska. You are in Arizona. What prompted that move? Was there a personal reason behind that? Was there a professional reason, or was it just simply a matter of no, this is a baller gym, MMA lab. I want to train there, so I'm going to move down there. So can you talk me through why did you relocate from Nebraska down to
Yeah.
Arizona?
So yeah, I actually had absolutely nothing to do with MMA at all. Earlier, like, so I started training jujitsu, not even MMA, just jujitsu in like late 2019. But earlier that year, I'd committed to going to GCU. So before I had ever started training, so really that's all the move was, is just to come down and go to college. But obviously, between committing to GCU and moving down, I started doing MMA. So the cards just kind of fell together perfectly there. And
That's
of course, like I look up gyms and it's like, there's Fight Ready with like Arizona Combat and the lab. It's like, obviously I'm gonna live in Glendale. I can go to the lab. That was like just kind of the no-brainer decision for me.
so I kind of want to talk about big gyms for a second,
Mm-hmm.
and for people who may not know, I think this would be a really good opportunity for you to kind of like shed some light onto that and like why you made the choice that you did because and I think you know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
There are some it is said again, this is kind of a generalization, so take what I'm about
Sure.
to say with a grain of salt, but
Right.
there are like pros and cons to everything. And when you go to a big gym like MMA lab, some of the top dogs in the sport of mixed martial arts
Yeah.
train out of there. And when if you don't fight, you look at that and you're going to think to yourself, well, yeah, obviously, why wouldn't you want to go there? The reason
Mm-hmm.
why I say that is again, depending on certain gyms, if you aren't a name, it can be tough to get the amount of instruction, drilling, training, coaching that you
Yeah.
need when you have all of these like big dogs in the gym. So for you, was that a concern for you in the back of your mind going into the MMA lab, or did you already know people that went there previously that had good experiences, or was that something you just weren't even really that concerned about?
I think so. Yeah. No. In short, yeah, I had connections there, but no. Had I just like starting out my career going there, I probably would have been a little nervous. But obviously, establishing myself in Nebraska, I made connections. So I had his name's Robert Rojas. He's 12-5 as a pro. He found out he trained at Lincoln Brazilian Jiu Jitsu with me. He just rolls there now. He found out I was going to the lab. He's like, hey, him and Grant Dawson had trained there, and so he had just been like, yeah. Um, I think he gave me John Crouch's number, and then I added him on Facebook, and then immediately he added me back. I messaged him, and then we got to talking. But with Derek Minner, and then Ryan Jensen, they both have their connection. I mean, the fight world is so once you're in, it is so small. Like, because guys just bounce around. Like, you have a guy come train with you for a little bit, and he's gone, but then you make that connection. It's like so, like, yeah, it's connected. So I had the connections at the gym, so that made me feel good about that decision too. Um, and Derek had even talked about he had thought about training there at one point. It just fell through, but he's good with Crouch. Crouch has been good to me since I came. So yeah, it was not a scary decision.
Sounds like you're in good hands. And I want to ask, like, from a financial and logistical standpoint, how does it work? I know DCS is based in the Midwest. That's like almost exclusively a Nebraska
Yeah.
promotion. You're in Arizona. How does that work in terms of like bringing coaches from the lab up to Nebraska
hmm
to be in your corner? Obviously, you're an AMI. You're not getting paid. Like how difficult is something like that?
Um. So the last camp that I did with the lab, I didn't bring a coach. And then like if I ever come to Nebraska, I know someone that I've trained with will be in my corner, and usually it'll probably just be Derek. So, um, in terms of that, like if the coaches don't want to come, yeah, like at the level I'm at, that's not a big deal. Like I have my connections here, so, but like in terms of like flying back stuff like that, I think just the fact that Dynasty kind of knows that I'm a sell, that it's worth it for them to cover my flight for me to come back. So obviously, and then my girlfriend lives in Lincoln, so I just stay with her. So it's it all works out right.
That's pretty dope. Then that makes it actually a lot easier, and I'm happy to hear that they're on board for doing something like that, because oftentimes that's not the case. Oftentimes they're just like, okay, well then fuck you, like.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and so that's a testament to Dynasty, and I'm glad that they're taking care of you. And to your point, it's also, in a way, it's an investment. Like, you're going to like you have a very exciting fighting style, and you're going to be a draw. Like, if I were in Lincoln and I knew like you and Ashton and we're gonna be on a card, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's gonna be a good fight. And it's really nice to see that even though you're at the AMI level, technically, like, they're not really obligated to do those types of things, that they're doing that.
Oh no, not at
I
all.
think that's a flex, quite honestly.
Yeah, it is. I don't like to let it get to my head, but it is a little flex.
It is. And let's talk about just kind of being a part of that promotion in the short amount of time that you've been there. You have fought exclusively in that promotion. You're 4-0, and the first three fights that you had were very entertaining to watch. Like, unfortunately,
Yeah,
I digged everywhere I could on the internet to try to find your most recent one. I didn't have any luck, but
yeah. You'd have to buy that pay-per-view, I think,
oh,
and I don't even know if it stays out. So then they release it like months after. It's never
yeah.
like it'll just pop up out of the blue that it got put on YouTube. So
So I wanted to ask, like, in your first three fights with Dynasty Combat Sports, like, when you look back at the first three that you had, you're finishing these guys. The only guy that took you the full 3 rounds was your most recent opponent.
yeah.
And when you look back at the first three, are you mostly happy with how you executed? When you look, or are you the type of guy who you look at it and you're just like, that was crap. I'm not really all that impressed. Or is it one of those things where
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I did exactly what I needed to do. I got these guys out
Yeah.
here really quick, and I need to move on. Like, what are your thoughts about the first three in general?
The first three, no, I was happy with it. I don't like to be hard on myself. I don't like it when people are hard on themselves. It's like sometimes they do it for attention, and sometimes it's just like a like a large inner emotional battle of like self confidence. It's like, no, I'm pretty good at like with my self confidence, with like analyzing how I perform. It's like I look at the first three, and it's like, no, I did exactly what I set out to do. So it's like, obviously there's always going to be room for improvement, and I look at that too. Um, but like in terms of just sitting there and taking digs at myself, that's just like, that's not constructive. When I look back at my film, it's like, okay, I didn't do as well here, so let's just build on it, because like that's the only thing you can do, right? Is just get better at what you're not good at or not as good as.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, no, I don't like to sit there and
I think that's healthy, because when you look at it, like, shit happens in fights, and there's no such
right,
thing as a
yeah,
perfect fight. It's impossible. Like, if you're chasing a perfect fight, unless you Jorge somebody, there is
sure,
no perfect fight. It's not like you're always going. There mistakes will be made, or your opponent will have just caught you doing something you shouldn't have been doing and
yeah,
capitalize on it. Like, this is a game of like millimeters, not even
yeah.
inches, millimeters.
Yeah, and you got him on your poster behind you, Lineker. There, he's giving us a speech one night. And he's just like, when you envision these fights, like, don't envision yourself just going out and dominating. Envision yourself going out, getting hitting back, because it's like, yeah, of course you want to go out and dominate, but it's like, even if you're dominating, you're still probably going to get punched or kicked, or like something bad's going to happen.
Particularly with you being relatively new to the sport, and your very first bout wasn't even a year ago, so it should be relatively fresh in your mind. When you're in the back room and you're getting your hands wrapped, you're warming up, were you like wanting to barf? Like, what was your state of mind? Were you like calm, cool, and collected? In the cage, you looked very composed, but I
Hmm.
know sometimes, like in the back room when it's just you and your coaches, sometimes it's not always like that. So, like,
Yeah.
what was that experience like making that walk for the very first time?
For the week, 2 weeks prior about is really that emotional roller coaster for me. It's like sometimes I feel great, sometimes I'm terrified, and like whatever, someone might listen to this and say what they want, but no, that's like it for every fighter. Like there's it's a roller coaster. Like, but no, on fight night, at that point, um, like my philosophy is like I've trained however 8, 12 weeks, whatever for this. Like if I'm scared now, then I wasn't. Then I just simply didn't do something right in my camp. I didn't train hard enough. So like, no, when it's time to make the walk, I'm ready to go. Like I'm not scared. I'm excited, obviously, but like I want to stay composed. The locker room is we have fun. Like it's almost a party in there. We got music going. We're laughing, talking. Some of our friends come back. It's not good to stay tense. At least for me, like being all tense and stuff back there. No, like I want to I just want to flow, hang out. Like that's how I like to prepare. So no, in terms of making the walk, no, yeah, I'm ready. That's really all I'd say I feel is just ready.
I think that's great because you have to identify like what works for you. Some people
Hmm.
may need it to be like a library in there where it's super
Oh yeah.
quiet, nothing going on, and it's kind of like you're at a funeral. People are whispering, they're not saying a whole
Yeah.
lot, and the only thing you hear are pads or just
Hmm.
the warming up, whatever. Other guys aren't like that though, so I think it's an important it's important to be aware of like what it is that works for you
Yeah.
and what puts you at ease because I'm sure like when you have somebody with that clipboard that comes in there from the promotion like okay it's time
Hmm.
like your heart would almost like skip a beat like no
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
what every single time and like you're making that walk and then you come from behind the curtain and there's just tons of people that are there wanting to
Yeah.
see you fight and they're
Yeah.
screaming and
Yeah.
it's just got to be like a out of body experience in a way.
Certainly is.
Does it get easier the more times you do it? Does it get progressively easy or is it still nerve wracking? Well, maybe nerve wracking is not the right word, but is it still kind
Yeah.
of like an emotional roller coaster every single time?
I'd say at this point it's gotten a little calmer. It's like I think whenever I start to get really like emotional or something, it's just like I just tell them it's like, hey, you signed up for this. No one's making you do it.
Right.
Like you want to be here, and it's like, and that helps me. That helps me. It's like I do want to be here. It's like what do I spend 3, 4 hours in the gym for? Like out running. It's like no, you're here. You're prepared. Like sometimes I just need to say that to myself. And so, yeah, it's gotten easier. And whenever you'll get to see my next fight, you'll see. Even my old coach, he's just like you're too almost too comfortable in there. And it's like I just have full faith in myself, my team, and it's like when I go out, it's time to look cool and win.
That's the fun
Or be
part.
exciting. Maybe not look cool, but just be exciting.
Yeah. Well, that's and I can only imagine the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into your camps, the sacrifices you have to make, the just studying the film, putting yourself in shitty situations and training.
Mm,
Like, okay, take top mount on me, beat the hell
yeah,
out of me, and I'm gonna hip escape out of this. Like all the things that you do that probably aren't fun at the time, but it's just like one of these repetitious type
hmm,
things that you
yeah,
do time and
yeah,
time again. And like when you go to the cage, like that's supposed to be like I earned the right to be here. I
yeah,
earned it.
exactly,
It's here.
yeah,
I'm here to have fun. I paid my dues to
yeah,
actually get in here. And you just look really calm, cool, collected. I was really impressed with like how you not
hmm,
only did you portray that, but like when the bell rang and you went out there, it's like you like I'm not even gonna say something clicked. It just seemed like the transition was seamless. It looked like
yeah,
you had been out
yeah,
there a million times before, and you
yeah,
were just out there right away. Like,
uh
okay,
huh.
we're gonna fight how I want to fight, and you established dominance right away on your opponent.
Yeah, and I actually kind of used to get flack for this when I was in high school wrestling. It's like people would be like, "Why don't you show more emotion on the mat?" It's just like there's no emotion to be shown. I'm here to win. Like
Hmm.
that's like and that's another thing is like I get some flack for is like people say I have a wrestling bitch face, and then they see me win an MMA fight, and they're like, "Oh, oh, you do have like a happy side." It's like, yeah, it's just like the feelings you get in preparation and then like in actually doing it, it's just like it's undescribable. But like, yeah, when I get in there, I want it's almost like not even a poker face because it's like behind the face I'm showing I'm not scared, but like what you're seeing in my appearance is I mean that's what I plan to give.
I it's hard for me to like identify and like say which bout of yours is my favorite
Hmm.
because they're all freaking fun to watch. Like I love
Yeah.
the submissions, man. I do, and that's
Hmm.
why you remind me of Donald Cerrone. Like I like the kickboxing, I like the striking, but I also like the submissions. I like the ground
Hmm.
game, and obviously Donald Cowboy Cerrone is like one of the best to ever do it. Despite if you're new to the sport and you're just seeing him now, you kind of need to purge all that from your memory. He's not the same guy anymore. He should probably go away. But like
No,
when you
I think
look
so
back at
too.
what he was able to do a decade ago or longer, he was one of the best guys in that weight class to have never won a belt. Like that's how
Yeah.
fantastic he was. And nobody talked about his ground game. And I would imagine there's a lot of people that look at you and they see how you fight. You're 6 feet tall, you have amazing striking. Your kicks are phenomenal. Like you're not just a volume guy. You're like deceptively strong, is what it looks like to me, anyway.
I've gotten that. No, I definitely get called skinny a lot, but then it's like, oh, you have,
You're
yeah. I mean,
like, I think you're a
there's
lot
more than what you
stronger.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're a lot stronger because your opponent from your very first bout, that guy was built like a fire hydrant, and he looked very tough, and you made him quit. Like you literally
Yeah.
made that kid quit.
Hmm.
You blasted him in the face. You cut his face open. He was down on the ground, and having watched that fight, like he was saying something. I don't know what it was he said, but
He said he couldn't see, but I mean that I think that was his way of saying I quit without saying
yeah,
I
yeah,
quit. You know?
yeah, because I could hear him saying, well, he was saying something,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the referee kind of hesitated and then broke it, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, he's saying he's done.
Yeah. He did, and that's what happened.
I wanted to ask you about the Justin Middleton fight.
Hmm.
This is a guy.
Let's get into it. I got a lot to say about it.
Let's talk about it because
Let's talk about it.
this is a guy that if you're the type of person that looks at somebody's record and says they're either good or shitty based off of that
Hmm.
number next to their name, I encourage people to dig deeper. I
Right.
kind of sound like a
Yeah.
broken record,
Hmm.
but I really do. I encourage people to dig deeper, particularly at the AMI level.
Yeah.
You're coming into a fight with a guy who has a hell of a lot of experience over
Yeah,
you.
that was his 20th fight. Well, sanctioned fight. I know that guy's had more than.
Like when you're
Yeah.
going up against a guy with that many fights under his belt, I don't care what the numbers say next to his name.
Hmm.
Is there more anxiety fighting a guy with that amount of experience? Can you walk me through your preparation for the Middleton fight
Yeah.
and then the fight itself?
So the preparation. Let me think. So, so originally he backed out. We were whatever date. I don't know. So it was. I was supposed to fight him, and then literally 2 days later, I was set to drive down to Phoenix. So like it was all planned out. Camp went well. Weight cut went well. Weight made weight, faced off. We both made weight, faced off, and then come probably 20 minutes before we're supposed to walk out, he just comes up to me. He's like, I can't do it. And then he gave me some reasons, but once I realized why he was coming up to me, it was like I didn't hear what he said. I was just mad. So then I get moved here, and then um, I saw I was like on the so Dynasty does like a group chat with all the fighters, and then I saw I got added to it, and I was like, I thought you guys don't have a fight for me, and they're like, yeah, Middleton, he's actually going to do it this time. He had a legit excuse. I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. Like we can give him, yeah, we'll give him whatever. We'll fight him. So yeah, I mean, I got that announced, so then immediately just went and started training again. I've been done it all with the lab. I'm not actually on the fight team yet, but I mean that's coming soon. But I mean either way, great instruction outside of the fight team. So yeah, I'd go in the morning for 2 hours, and then or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have to go to class Tuesday, Thursday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would go in the morning. I do 2 hours there, and then 2 hours again in the evening. So 4 total. Just a mix of stand up, ground, wrestling, all that. And then Tuesday, Thursday, I'd go in the morning, go to class, come back after class, and do another class at the lab. So yeah, no, training was, and it's weird to say, but this was actually probably the most consistent camp I've had. Like even in my debut, like I debuted peak COVID. Like
right.
That training camp was me, Tanner Wanch, and Nick Honstein. That's it. That was like those were my, I mean, good training partners for sure. But like I didn't have a bunch of looks. Like the gym was closed. We would go in in the morning, go in the evening, like just us 3 on our own. That's how I got ready for the first one. So like in terms of consistency, like I was there. And this sucks, but I had a bunch of hiccups moving down here, which kind of hindered a couple things in my training. But no, in terms of the work, no, it was consistent work. The training camp was good. I felt good coming there. I was in shape. I was ready to fight. And then, I mean, so for this one, I just wanted to stand up. I wanted to stand the whole fight. I just wanted to finish him, knock him out. I wasn't really talking trash, but like on social media, I was putting that I was like planning on knocking him out. So I didn't knock him out. We went decision. Kind of between between the first and second round, Derek's just like you're trying to be fancy, like, and it's not really working. And like watching film, it was like he was throwing shots, and I could have just been countering him. I countered him a couple times. But yeah, I wasn't really landing much. I wasn't really even throwing much either. So it was like, he's like, just take him down. Like, we know we're going to win the fight on the ground. Like, so we just like take him down. So then second round, I got the takedown. I was pretty deep on a Vaughn flu. Didn't end up finishing it. I think I took him down again in the third. I did some damage, but then I was elbowing him. And I was elbowing the top of his head. But then he kind of slid a little bit, and I just kept going on the back of his head. Like, so I was like, in my head, I was like, shoot, they might stop this. But then they didn't stop it. So I stopped. I hit him probably 10, 15 times in the back of the head. It was like, well, what? I mean,
wow.
If you're not going to stop it, the damage is going to be done. Like,
well, you have to.
Stop it. Right. So they stopped it, took a point.
You got a point deduction?
Yeah, I got a point deduction
for hitting the back of his dome.
Yeah, back of the head a lot. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Okay. So with the point deduction, were you like kind of scared shitless going to decision, or did you know even with the deduction it was going to be probably a 29-28?
Yeah, I mean, this is where we'll get to the drama afterwards, but no, I do remember after that, Derek, I mean, I knew it was short time, but I remember just hearing Derek say, take him down, you need to finish him. I was like, oh, shit, is it that? I thought I was ahead. In my head, I thought I was ahead, which, I mean, when it came to the decision, I was, but he yelled that, and I was like, oh, crap. So I went in, and he ended up, so I got in on a body lock and just pulled guard because I figured he's going to do something crazy, and I'll catch him, but nah, he was getting some decent ground and pound. I ended up getting him close to a leg lock, but then time ran out. But then we got to the decision. Yeah, 29-28.
With the point deduction. So talk to me about the drama aspect.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So he thought he won, which, I mean, to be fair, it was a closer fight than I wanted it to be, and I think maybe just because he felt like he threw some more and maybe landed a little bit more that he had won. But in terms of just like obviously judging is great, whatever. Judging can go either way, but like in my head it was like I landed some pretty good leg kicks. I kicked him quite a bit. Some head kicks, like 2 or 3 head kicks I landed in the fight. So like there was some flair, which I think, the oohs and ahs of the crowd, I think it has to affect the judges.
It does. I think 100%. Right.
And then like I had takedown, control, damage on the ground, submission attempts, like that all had like in my mind I was like, no, I had to win, like with all that considered. So he posted a picture because right before they announced the winner, like they had both of our hands and I was just kind of looking down, like just a shitty time picture, I think. But he was all happy with his hand raised and I was like, I looked tired, which I was, but so he posts that and he's like, here's the,
but basically he was saying like, this is what really happened.
Yeah. I looked defeated. So therefore I lost. And so then his team or whatever started chirping. And then that's how they said, hey, fight this Shrapia guy. Because they used to be teammates. It's like, take this fight in December against this Shrapia guy. I was like, I was just like, told him no. Just
right.
Mad, but yeah.
Damn.
So, yeah, he had done a lot of talking and his team did. A bunch of people were just like saying stuff about me. I was like, what? Time out. First of all, I had messaged him after he backed out. I was like, hey man, it's all love. I get it. Life gets to you. Like it's cool. Like I'm not that upset. But yeah, apparently we had beef going into the fight and then after the fight because like his friends were saying a bunch of stuff and posting things and like saying stuff and it was like I don't think these fights are ever personal. Like we're doing it for sport. Like
right. Yeah. So, did he ever chill out and like come back to you later and be like, you know what, my bad, I was just hot because I lost. It just kind of fizzled out.
Well, he wanted an immediate rematch, but then they're like, no, that was your 6th fight in a row that you just lost. Like you can't fight in Nebraska again until you win somewhere else. Like,
Really? No shit.
Yeah.
So they bounced him from the promotion?
No, it's a commission thing more than the promotion, but even then, it was like, I'm not going to rematch you. Like, I wanted to try out, like, my stand-up. Like, I really wanted to just stand with him. And, like, it didn't work out, so I had to adapt and do something different. And it was like, he wants a rematch bad. It's like, now, obviously, don't know for a fact, but in my head, it's like, if we fought again and I wanted to take him down and sub him in the first minute, then I would. Like,
right.
That's why it's just not worth. Like, I'm not going to entertain that.
It's not worth the, what would you gain from something like that?
Right. And it's like, I'm trying to move up in the rankings, move up and get a, like, fight for the belt. And, like, that just
that's not going to help you. And especially, like, if that's a commission thing, if he's lost 6 in a row, then he's going to have to go to Iowa or wherever and get a couple wins.
Iowa, somewhere else. Yeah, so.
Well, that's his problem. And,
not mine.
no, like, that's really interesting. And, I think just kind of like with a deduction for me, if I were in that position, it's like, well, shit, like there's a little bit of anxiety now because who the hell knows what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
But the fact that you were able to get a unanimous decision 29-28 with the deduction, that's an indicator that you dominated the fight.
Yeah.
Even if he had his moments.
Yeah. And he did. He had a few moments. But that was like maybe 2 moments. Like compared to just otherwise just losing the entire round, like, yeah.
You are about your fighting style specifically because I grabbed, now excluding the Middleton fight, as soon as it posts and we do another show together, I will grab those clips as well. So,
sure.
But I after studying your film and seeing everything about you, and when I look at you stylistically, you're like this long, rangy, awkward dude is the best way I could describe it. Like, what kind of blows me away, and I'm going to go ahead and say it how I want to say it because I like this guy. You're like Marty Fake Newsman, like at the beginning of, like when he's all hunched over at the very beginning, like when they're about to like when like Herb Dean's right there or whatever, and it's like him and
Mm-hmm.
Colby and how he like
Yeah.
leans over like a gorilla. Like you're like that. Like I don't know if that's a
Yeah.
comfort thing or if that's just to like psych your opponent out
Yeah.
or whatever, but like you're a very like unorthodox type of fighter. You move,
Yeah.
I won't say
Certainly.
awkwardly, but like you throw looks at people
Mm-hmm.
that people don't typically see.
Yeah.
Is that just like your natural style, or is that something you specifically kind of work on?
No, at this point I would just say it's my style. Like even when I wrestled, like it was always long and awkward, and it's like I would wrestle these buff kids that were good, but it's like you don't see guys like me often. Like you see short, stocky dudes. Like that's just the base model for most wrestlers, fighters. You just these short, stocky guys, but it's like you get this long, skinny kid, and you think, oh, this kid ain't really shit. But it's like, oh no, he's like long and skinny, and he can use it to his advantage. So it's like, at this point, I would say, yeah, it's just my style. Like, not a lot of guys that are like built, like that have my build that people can train with and like get looks
Like,
that look like me.
and the fact that you're able to fight at featherweight, I just think it's so cool to
Mm,
be as tall as you are and able to make that weight and make that weight easily.
yeah,
Like, have you thought about if you're able to make that weight so easy? Have you thought about a different weight class at all? Like, have you thought
yeah.
about either moving up or going to 35 even maybe?
Oh, 35 for sure. I already kind of feel undersized, not necessarily in height and reach, but just mass. Like I'm not
Yeah,
very, I am skinny. Like that is the truth. So like, I mean, like, and you know, like true 45ers will walk around 170, almost some even 180 pounds sometimes.
easily.
Like, right. And like, yeah, I only walk around like like 156 on a heavy day.
Right.
Like, and I don't,
And
my
what's
weight doesn't,
and
yeah,
what's nuts is
really,
like probably Brandon Figueroa probably walks around at that weight too.
yeah, exactly.
And he's
So
a
like, yeah.
flyweight.
Hmm.
So
So
if
I
you
would
could
like,
hit 35, I mean, geez, Louise, man, that would
yeah,
like almost put you in Sandhagen territory. A
yeah.
big,
And that's
tall,
what I'd
lanky
like.
guy.
Yeah. That's the plan. Really, I just want to do it when I'm kind of getting paid to fight and when I have the resources where I'm not doing these cuts like on my own. I think I do the cuts well. I do them smart, but like a real cut like that, because I got only cut a couple pounds. And plus, if it's at 45 in Nebraska, we hit 3 pounds. So like, I'm gonna live my, I'm gonna eat all week and drink all week, and then I'm gonna just cut whatever few
Whatever you need
pounds
to.
on. Yeah, exactly. So like, no, once I have to do a real cut down to 35, I'd like to have like a nutritionist helping me and or not just doing that on my own.
I wanted to give you the opportunity before I let you go, Christian. Such a pleasure talking to you. Like, I'm really, really excited to see you perform against some bigger fish out there.
Mm-hmm.
You are. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I see where you are now. I'm really, really excited to find out where you're going to be a couple years from now. I don't think it's a stretch to say in a couple years from now when you go pro that it'll only be a matter of time. Like you might have a couple LFA fights, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that
Mm-hmm.
I'll see you in Bellator or the
Yeah,
UFC or something like that in a relatively short amount of time.
yeah, yeah.
And so I want to give you that opportunity. I know there are a lot of people that help you out behind the scenes, whether they're coaches, sponsors, anything like that. Why don't you go ahead and shout out whoever needs to be shouted out?
Uh, I got quite a few.
Go for
I
it.
think easily I got to shout out Derek. Um, he does a lot just for in terms of giving back. he work. I mean, he really works with anybody that comes through the doors and is willing to work with his team or work with him. So yeah, huge shout out to Derek. But my sponsors, I got them all. Most here. Twin J Fight or Twin J Trucking. It's also I think for sponsored the Twin J Fight Team out of Fremont, Nebraska. He's one of my biggest supporters. I also have Burn Box Media. They do a lot of my like professionally done photos and videos, hype. They do hype videos for me, stuff like that. They've been great. Um, I mean, even just Lincoln Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, I got my start there. Like, thank them, Premier Combat Center. I'm still lab now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave people out, so there's just a lot. But yeah, like my teammates have all been good to me. A lot of people have been good to me. Yeah, it's been a ride, and it's going to be a ride. But no, it's something that's like, it's weird how this has already taken me to a place that like I didn't like this wasn't even a thought 2 years ago, and it's like now it's like I'm looking to go 5-0 within a year.
That's insane.
Yeah. So yeah, no,
It,
I do have a lot of people to thank, but I got the ones out that are off the top of my head right now.
Christian, I put together, like I said, the fight clips of your previous bouts. For the people who have never seen you fight before, like what are some things about you that you want people that are seeing you for the first time in these clips to know?
Not necessarily to know, but like I just like if you come to my fight, I want it to be exciting. I think that's just like obviously winning the goal, but like I want to be exciting. Like I want to be worth. Like I want you to come back and watch me again. Obviously, like getting these subs. Like hopefully someday soon get a KO, TKO. Like I guess I just want you to know that I hope to put on a show that is worth watching.
Looking forward to running it back with you, ladies and gentlemen. Christian Lovan.